Another strike is looming in Hollywood. The contract between the major studios and the Screen Actors Guild has expired. And for the second time in a year, the entertainment industry is facing a production shutdown. 4 months after a 100-day writers' strike ground Hollywood to a halt, the Screen Actors Guild might do it too.
It seems devastating for the town, but it might be necessary.
The Screen Actors Guild claims that nearly 91% of actors make less than $28,000 annually. So much the same as the writers, actors want the studios to cut them a bigger payout in DVD residuals and new media or internet usage. But the Guild is also feuding with Aftra. That union has already negotiated a contract with Hollywood studios, but it has not been ratified.
People look at Aftra as a union that is a little more studio friendly. They're not as aggressive in their negotiation as SAG is, and so that's why they were able to go in and do their business and get their contract.
Members of SAG are reportedly calling on the 44,000 members who are in both unions to defeat the Aftra contract. The question is, can the entertainment business, which lost a reported $2 billion in the writers' strike, withstand another economic flop? All right, and joining me are Angela Peri, owner of Boston Casting, actor and SAG member Chuck Slavin, and attorney David Herlihy. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Angela, we're not California, but Massachusetts has really been going gangbusters with the film industry recently. We had 7 in production just this year alone. People are predicting that it'll cost California up to $23 million a day if they go on strike. What will it mean here?
Oh God, well, our nickname now is Hollywood East. So we had, I think it was actually 12 films that shot here just in the last year. And I think it'll just shut us all down. I mean, we've had people come from all, like all of the New York people come in, and we've had the crews come in and actors, and it'll just shut everybody down. It'll just shut us all down.
Chuck, you're a recent SAG member. Are you sympathetic to the potential strike?
I don't want to strike. I know that I've just joined the union, but I think that there can be a holdout. I think locally it'll be a huge setback for us as far as a strike. But I know personally, the local members that I know don't want to strike.
And in terms of the issues at hand here, the residuals off of DVDs, the internet, is there a lot more money to be made out of that? I mean, what kind of roles have you played? I mean, what would you get out of an internet deal, for instance?
Well, I think that with internet and new media, I believe that you can't look at it like a huge amount of money, but what you need to look at is, especially with ads on the web, a lot of micro billing. Because if you have an ad or a website that has maybe 10,000 hits a day, they're going to get ad revenue. So you have to, strategically, you have to go after a smaller piece of the pie. But as far as the union, they have to at least try to go after it, because that's money that's being generated that in some cases we're not seeing.
David, Aftra and SAG, the American Federated Television Artists, whatever it is, Radio Television Artists, and SAG, Screen Actors Guild, used to negotiate jointly.
Together, yes.
And they separated. What is this rift all about anyway? And there's an interesting set of actors on either side
yeah,
of this.
it's very interesting. For the past 27 years, as you point out, there have been, Aftra and SAG have negotiated in tandem, which has allowed, I think, for them to leverage their greater numbers to greater effect for both of them. But I think that SAG was holding out for better terms, and I think Aftra was willing to negotiate more quickly and just felt that they were tethering themselves to a long and protracted negotiation. And this year alone, the Motion Picture Producers, their association, has negotiated deals with the Writers Guild, with the Directors Guild, and with 2 other branches of Aftra. And so they are sort of trying to hold firm to this framework they have in place to go to the actors and say, we need you to sort of join on the same framework we have in place now so that we can keep this architecture moving forward.
Okay, well, there's a vote tomorrow, just to make this clear, that Aftra is going to take to ratify the contract. SAG is nowhere near that, but there's this huge crossover. I mean, there's a lot of 44,000
40,000, yes.
people who are in both, and they're trying to generate support among the SAG members not to ratify the Aftra contract. What's the likelihood of that?
I don't think it's very likely. I think that, as shown by the fact that Aftra pulled off and negotiated directly with the producers themselves, they wanted to try to get a deal done. And I think even there's some doubt as to even within the SAG ranks whether they can generate the level of support that they can for a walkout. I guess they need 75% of their rank and file to agree to a walkout. And I just don't think that they're going to get that level of support, especially because I think the ripple effects of this aren't just confined to SAG, but they're the entire industry. And I think that it would be, in many ways, a lot of the actors probably think it'd be more disruptive to the whole process as a whole to keep back. Although there's some argument to be made that if you hold out until the 11th hour, then all of a sudden what was once off the table gets on the table.
Gets back on.
Well, just to touch on that point, the ballots are due today, and the announcement will be made tomorrow. I know that dual...
Are you a member of both?
No, but I do know dual members, and I know that back, I believe it was like 10 years ago, they voted on a merger between the two unions, but a lot of holdouts in the LA area voted down the merger. So locally, I know that members that I know believe that we should be one union before negotiations.
Aftra
and stuff like
is
that.
a lot of television and news people and that kind of thing too. That's where it gets confusing. Screen Actors Guild is pretty much strictly
On-screen
actors.
talent,
Yeah,
Right.
film.
But Angela, people, if they're really paying attention right now, and I know it's been nice weather and all that, but we are feeling the effects of the writer's strike right now. I mean, when you look at shows like, I mean, no offense to anybody if they watch these, but these garbage things like Wipeout and I Survived, a Japanese game show or something like that. It's like this is what happened as a result of the writer's strike, because it didn't take a lot of talent, I'll say it, to come up with those kinds of things, and that's what will be generated. Forget the movies; there won't be anything.
And to echo your point, a lot of people don't want to strike. I mean, people want to work, and people, and it affects more than just the actors. It affects all the ancillary industries, and it affects all kinds of commerce throughout the state. And I think people just don't want to strike. And although the studios have made their final offer, that's always a statement that you make, whether or not it's really the final offer. But they're saying this is where we need to be on this, although they haven't announced a deadline. So it isn't as if midnight tonight or we're going away. But I think it's a question of who's going to blink first. And I think in some sense the Association of Motion Picture and Television Producers is banking that the actors are going to blink first.
Do you think they will, Angela?
I hope not. I really hope not. For the first time, the Boston actors now had a chance to make a living as an actor. We've had so many actors that have to be waiters or truck drivers or whatnot so that they can pursue their acting career. And now they can actually make a living as an actor here in Boston. So if we have a strike, that's all going to come to a close. And all of the crew people that have come from all over the United States to help us here, it's just going to all come to a close, and I think
no, but
that's
what
going to
David
be
is saying is the actors may blink and not go out on strike because, for those reasons.
Yes, for those reasons. Yes.
So do you think that's a good possibility?
That's a good possibility. I hope so.
I think that's a strategic play that they're making right now.
But the only problem with that is that in LA, they've had those jobs.
Yeah.
Here,
LA.
this is new to us. So the holdouts in LA may decide that, seeing especially runaway production, that maybe it's a good strategic move to strike.
But also, I mean, going back to your point about the local actors, I mean, you got these big name Hollywood people, and they often drive the discourse on this. They drive but I mean, they're not making $28,000. They're not making the average salary of a SAG actor. But it's interesting to see. I mean, Jack Nicholson and a couple other names are supporting the SAG people. Tom Hanks is with Aftra.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, there's a divide there, and I think. Well, the major issue is, or one of the major issues is this idea of residuals. Like, people really don't know, you asked the point earlier on, how much money is there to be made from that? And it's really hard to say. In fact, my understanding is that most of the guild agreements, because of the length of videos that are watched on the web, it doesn't trigger residuals automatically. They're very short episodes, and so they don't trigger residuals as part of the contracts anyway. So this is still very sort of untrod territory.
All right, well, I think we all hope
like you do, that this doesn't happen, because
Yes.
it's kind of fun having them all here. Right. Angela Peri, Chuck Slavin, David Herlihy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and when we continue, David D'Alessandro with his new book, Executive Warfare.